With a huge paycheck on the line, you would think that superstar athletes would avoid risking it all by cheating, especially with all the cameras around. But you might be shocked by the brazen and unethical actions taken by some of your favorite sports stars. One totally legal cheat to getting the latest videos is hitting the subscribe button and turning on your notifications. Not very saintly. The New Orleans Saints certainly didn't live up to their name when they engaged in an incredible scandal many people have dubbed Bountygate. Many people believe that professional athletes are overpaid, but apparently their paychecks weren't enough to motivate members of the Saints. Their defensive coordinator, Greg Williams, decided to create an incentive program. He offered players financial bonuses for injuring players of opposing teams. Really? Well, just come right out and say it. The Spanish basketball team was caught pretending to be disabled in order to win the gold medal at the Paralympics. Fernando Martín Vicente was the head of the Spanish Federation for Mentally Handicapped Sports, and he allowed people without any disabilities to compete. They won 5 medals fraudulently, which they were commanded to return, as 10 out of 12 athletes were found not to be disabled. Putting the bad in badminton. We generally don't think of women's badminton players as those that would willfully cheat, especially in such a blatant way. At the 2012 London Olympics, 8 players from 4 different teams from South Korea, China, and Indonesia seemed to be doing really poorly for some reason. Fans were distressed to see these Olympic-caliber athletes serving the birdie into the net or hitting obscenely wide. It started with the Chinese world champions Wang Xiaoli and Yu Yang, who purposefully threw their match in order to play a weaker team during the next round. In order to thwart their dastardly plan, other players followed suit, resulting in an outcry from the fans as they were booed off the court. A likely story. Baseball was an important part of life for Joe Niekro and his family. His brother Phil Niekro pitched for the Milwaukee and Atlanta Braves, and his son Lance Niekro played for the San Francisco Giants. Joe's baseball career had highs and lows as he made his way through the Chicago Cubs, San Diego Padres, and Detroit Tigers before ending up on the Atlanta Braves with his brother Phil. After a few more trades, Joe ended up pitching for the Minnesota Twins when an umpire noticed something unusual going on. Although Joe tried to stall, he insisted that he empty his pockets and out-tumbled an emery board and a piece of sandpaper that he had allegedly been using to scuff the ball. In his defense, Joe argued that he had been using them to keep his nails trim while in the dugout, but the excuse fell on deaf ears. Sticky situation. Another strategy that unscrupulous pitchers use is applying pine tar or other sticky substances to the ball. This allows the player to get a better grip on the ball, but it's against the rules unless it's strictly being used on a bat. Relief pitcher for the Milwaukee Brewers, Will Smith, was ejected from a game when a sticky substance was found on his arm, which turned out to be a mixture of rosin and sunscreen. He claimed that he had rubbed it on his forearms before the game and had simply forgotten to wipe it off before the game started. Do jumps like a lady. If you're guilty of drooling over some of the attractive female athletes during the Olympic Games, you might be interested to hear the story of Dora Ratchen. She competed for Germany in the 1936 Summer Olympics in Berlin and placed 4th in the women's high jump. There was only one small issue with this. Dora Ratchen was actually a man named Heinrich Ratchen. Now, this case is a bit confusing because some reports indicate that Ratchen was actually born intersexed and then claimed to have been brought up as a girl. However, at the age of 10 or 11, Ratchen realized that he was actually a man. Crashgate. During the 2008 Singapore Grand Prix, driver Nelson Piquet Jr. crashed his vehicle into the 17th turn during the 14th lap of the race. This was no small accident, and its location meant that a safety car had to be deployed while debris was cleared from the area. While this went on, Fernando Alonso, Piquet's teammate, went on to win the race. When asked how the crash occurred, Piquet dismissed it as a simple mistake. But many who saw the accident thought that it was a bit too perfect to have been a mere coincidence. Piquet ended up confessing that he had thrown the race on purpose in order to improve the situation for his teammate Alonso. Running from the truth. Completing, let alone winning, Ironman Canada is no easy task. Participants face 2.4 miles of swimming, 112 miles of cycling, and 26.2 miles of running, most of which is completed in freezing conditions. Suzanne Davis crossed the finish line confident that she would take home the gold medal for her category, women ages 40 to 44. She was shocked to receive second place behind a woman named Julie Miller who had literally come out of nowhere. Miller had won many similar competitions previously, but Davis insisted that in over 3 hours of running, she never once saw Miller. Unfortunately for Miller, a company called Finisher Pics was creating videos of the event and were constantly filming along the marathon course. Cameras that had caught every other aspect of the race somehow didn't catch Miller running the appropriate amount of time past certain points. The Hand of God. Many people consider Diego Maradona to be the greatest soccer player of all time, but this time he cheated in a spectacularly epic fashion. When the England goalie leapt to intercept the ball, Maradona jumped up to meet him and used his hand to smack the soccer ball into the net 6 minutes into the second half of the game. Spectators were outraged, but the referees claimed not to see it and let the goal count. This infamous play became known as the Hand of God. Lights out. Boris Onyshchenko was a Soviet pentathlete who was no stranger to the Olympics. In 1976, however, he was disqualified from the Games and received a lifetime ban. The weapon of choice was an épée, the largest and heaviest in all of fencing. It contains a sensor that causes a light to flash when it makes contact with an opponent in order to keep track of points. However, Onyshchenko rewired the device so that it would react to a hidden switch. After that, all he had to do was look like he had struck his opponent, flick the switch, and rack up the points. When Olympic officials inspected the weapon, they discovered that it had been tampered with. Which one of these unscrupulous cheaters are you the most disgusted by? And do you think that greasing the ball is an egregious offense or merely part of baseball? Be sure to let us know in the comments section. Before you go, be sure to please like our video and hit that subscribe button to get the latest from the richest. Thanks for watching. With a huge paycheck on the line, you would think that superstar athletes would avoid risking it all by cheating, especially with all the cameras around. But you might be shocked by the brazen and unethical actions taken by some of your favorite sports stars. One totally legal cheat to getting the latest videos is hitting the subscribe button and turning on your notifications. Not very saintly. The New Orleans Saints certainly didn't live up to their name when they engaged in an incredible scandal many people have dubbed Bountygate. Many people believe that professional athletes are overpaid, but apparently their paychecks weren't enough to motivate members of the Saints. Their defense